if I could go back and made one difference that changes the trajectory of are you going to be rich or are you going to be poor, it's who you hanging out with.
100%. I'm Rich.
Now what?
What's up, guys? It's your boy Mark Evans, DM with Tim Bratz. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Good to be here.
Good, man. I'm excited, dude. Last week's show was huge. We have a lot of people responding about it, and it's exciting to hear people have the same craziness that we have. You know, lots of people are emailing and not emailing their people, or and all that good stuff. So it's appreciate you guys interacting. Make sure to leave those 5-star reviews. And if you hear something that we're talking about that you can relate to, or you have a buddy that you can connect with, I know I do this to Tim and different people I know. Like if I'm listening to a podcast show and I hear something, I'm like, that's cool. I pause it and I share the show and I say, hey, Tim, check out minute 238 to 455. And then now he gets the show, listens to it, and I become value add to him. Now we possibly get a new listener, and we go from there. But, man, I'm excited to talk about today's show. I think it's going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know, backstory and things that you've heard about this topic, and I'm excited to just kind of dive in, both from an actions, behaviors, mindset of why do the rich get richer and why do the poor get poorer. So we're going to dive into our insights, our backstory, our feedback, our experiences that we've seen of why the rich get richer and why the poor get poorer.
Yeah, man. No, it's a big thing, why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I'll start. I think it really comes down, the truth is the middle class is shrinking, right? When I was traveling into Cambodia, India, and all those different places, you really see massive wealth and you see very poor. And very rarely would you see like the middle road. It was kind of very skewed. So as you know, I don't know about you, but like when we're hanging out, the wealthy guys, I was just in Tulsa, Oklahoma with a bunch of wealthy people, and we're not talking about sports unless we own them or we're making money from it somehow or marketing it in some way. We're not talking about the Real Housewives. We're not gossiping. We're not talking about people and things. We're talking about what businesses we're building, how we're taking over, how we're growing this, where we're parking our investments, how we're protecting our capital. What's your cash positions right now with what's going on in the market? Are you investing in the market right now? Yes or no? Are you hiring people? What's your talent look like? Are you utilizing AI to reduce staff but increase revenue? Like we're talking about those kind of things, as opposed to like when I go to the other side, right? And what they're talking about. By the way, this just happened. I was hanging out with people that are very close to me, and they're staying at my house, and they're talking about what everyone else is doing, not what they're doing, and they're gossiping nonstop about nothing. And they're talking about how they have no money, they have no goals, they have no dreams, they have no vision, they're broke, they don't even have car insurance, for God's sakes. True story. And they don't know what they want to do when they grow up, and they're growing up. So you have these challenges, and it's like what you talk about and what you think about matters, right?
Very much so, man. Yeah. I went through the same thing. Had a bunch of people in town about a month ago, and it's just like the conversations talking about people. Ugh. I was like, I got to get out of this conversation immediately, right? I feel like those are the lowest level conversations that you have. The high level conversations are conversations about actions, about ideas, about thoughts, about concepts, philosophy. Those kinds of things are high level conversations that wealthy people want to have, right? I can't stand the surface level, the weather, and talking about, just entry level type conversations, the small talk that you get a lot of times. Like, I want to get into some depth of like what actually matters, what is going to impact lives, what is going to make a difference, and how can we be better in what we're doing. And I think I think we should hit down, I have a bunch of different things, but like the actions between what the rich do and what the poor do, right? The behaviors of what the rich do and what the poor do. The mindset of rich people versus poor people. The conversations, the relationships, all these different things are polar opposites. They're two different sides of the spectrum. And the pendulum it couldn't be further apart on each side. So let's dive into some of that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so for example, I think one of the biggest things, probably the biggest gift I gave myself was to start learning about mindset, right? If you don't have the right mindset, everything we're talking about goes out the window. And I grew up, and I had some family members at my house, and I was talking to them, and I'm like, what do you want out of life? They really don't know. Not even like a little bit. They're like, I just want to pay my bills and not be stressed out. Okay, cool. What's that look like? I mean, Uncle Mark, whatever they say, they freak out. But like, I learned about mindset. I learned that I'm in control, right? Because you can say, oh, I can't do that because I'm a kid. But eventually you become an adult, and you can't use that as a blaming tool to, and none of that. If you do blame them and you don't do anything about it, you're still, you're stuck in that cycle. And I try to explain to them, because they have kids. I'm like, do you understand? You have a duty to your children. You know me. I did it. So it's not like you can't do it, because we come from the same place. You have a duty to your children to break out of this cycle, the vicious cycle of being poor, being broke, being negative, being blah, 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 all these things. You have to do it. If you don't do it, who does? Because if you truly love your kid, if you truly care about what you say you care about, your child, you have to do it at all costs. Like literally, I would die to do that, right? Mm-hmm. And they just, I can't do that. You don't understand, or whatever they say. So it's literally your mindset is absolutely the starting point to all this stuff. And you got to literally feed your brain continuously until you actually believe it.
And like anything, man, I found that the brain muscle, right? I know it's an organ, but like exercising, improving your brain, it comes in different stages, right? Just like anything else, there's different levels of your ability. And the first one was back, I remember you shared a story last week about when you were 10 years old or something, you saw a Ferrari, right? And that totally broke the mold on what your belief system would be, and what sent you on a trajectory of mindset and figuring out how to ask better questions, as opposed to just, taking statements in from external factors and the environment of a bunch of negative people. You're like, no, well, how could I make money? How could I build wealth? How did this guy, how was he able to afford a Ferrari? How was he able to do these things? And like, there's that level, right? And then there's a level of building up a team and raising capital and structuring finance at a high level. And then there's all these different levels of skills that you can learn.
Yep.
In mindset components to improve. Here's what it takes to build $1 million business. Here's what it takes to build a $10 million business. Here's what it takes to build a $100 million business. And it keeps on elevating. Yeah. Just like skills elevate, so does your mindset elevate. So it's something that you got to continuously improve. But if somebody doesn't have that, how do they get those things? For me, it was reading the books and listening to podcasts of people who were where I wanted to be, right? I had the mindset, had the lifestyle, had the core values that I wanted to integrate and implement in my life, and listening to those podcasts, reading those books, listening to those audio tapes.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this a lot, like borrowing belief, right? So you and I are both building a real company, ideally high 9 figures, if not 10-figure exits in the future. And I have a guy in my world that has done that. So I have borrowed his belief. He's 56. He's done it. He's been there, done that. His brother is many ex-billionaire, and great human beings, and they're open book. And, it's different levels, different devils is what they say, right? So with my nieces that were here, I'm like, if you cannot manage $1,500 a month, you'll never get the opportunity to manage $15,000 a month or $150,000 a month or $1.5 million a month. It will never happen. Because the belief in themselves, they don't have belief, right? They don't have that, like, what's wild, because they're so close to me, right? It is my nieces. So proximity is power. It also can be depowering. It can take power away because they're too close to it. I'm like, it's me. You have my time. You have my attention. I'll do anything. You're like your blood.
Anybody else with your mindset would never have a minute of my time, right?
I'm running from them as fast as humanly possible, by the way.
Yeah,
if it's not family. But
and go ahead.
No, I just think it's like they're so close to it, and yet they can't get out of the cycle. But you don't understand. blah, 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 blah. Like these stories they've created, and they've really anchored into these stories to believe them. And I'm like, that's a lie. That's a lie. That didn't happen. This is going on. Like, until you accept responsibilities, and that's what true entrepreneurs and people that generate a so well, you have to accept full responsibility for the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between in your life to start addressing it. Until then, you're not going to have success. Even if you have a little bit of financial windfall, you'll never be happy. You'll never be pleased. You'll never see the world through a cool lens. You're always going to see it through a negative lens. Someone wants something from me. They're trying to get from me. Like, you're never going to be, at peace in life. So when I was talking to him, it's amazing to me that, and by the way, I gave her a book. I think I've shared this in the past. When she was 16 years old, she wanted her license. Uncle Mark, can you pay for my license? I'm like, yeah. I'm going to give you a book. I gave her Rich Dad, Poor Dad teen version. I gave her the book, and I said, I need you to create a 4-page report when you're done reading the book. And when you're done, I'll send you the money if I approve the report card, like the report. Oh, my God. I'm the rich jerk now. I'm the rich uncle, the bad uncle, the mean uncle. And now she's 26, and I'm like, do you understand why I did that? By the way, I did explain to her why I did that, but she was too hot-headed to hear it. I was like, it's because I do care, and I do love you, and I'm not just going to hurt you and enable you through life. By the way, that's what's happened through her whole life, right? She's been enabled through the system. And I'm like, and she's like, I understand. I know why you did it, like all this stuff, but like, I should have done it more looking back, right? But some people just don't get it, dude, unfortunately.
Yep. How do you instill those things, right? I think back to like Jesus couldn't be a prophet in his own hometown, right? He had to leave in order to people to see him as a prophet and as the Son of God and all these things, and he was too close for anybody to believe him in the town that he was from. And so similarly, like, dude, my brother is in real estate, right? He has a real estate license. Dude, brokers a lot of stuff and does a great job, works with investors, finding them deals. I'm like, dude, do you realize I have bought and sold 6,000 rental units? Like, over that. Like, I have access to capital. I can get you money where you have no need to bring any of your own capital. He's trying to sell me deals for me to go and flip. I was like, dude, I don't flip houses anymore. But you have the contractors. You know the marketplace. You have the time. And you can make 50, 75 grand on this deal. And by doing one deal, right, you can increase your, I don't know what he makes, a couple $100,000 a year, let's call it. And just brokering. But like, dude, he could make $500,000 a year if he flipped one deal a quarter. It would be so easy, so simple. He has access to all the resources and just doesn't do it. It's because we're too close. We're too tight. Like he's never come out to a commercial empire, right? Or like any of my coaching that I had for a decade.
Dude, I've known you for 10 years. I didn't even know you had a brother in real estate.
Yeah.
Seriously. Right? I've never met him because I'm at those events over the years, right? We've been around. Yeah. So even at the private masterminds at your facility in in Detroit, yeah. So it's like, but again, I truly think though, like, because in our telehealth company we have doctors. Like, these are very smart people, like intellectually very, very, very smart. But it's wild to me how dumb daily they are. Like, I almost don't understand how they put on their shoes. Maybe that's why they wear Crocs, truthfully. Is because I'm like, the decisions or indecisions they don't make, I'm like, what are you thinking? It doesn't even make sense. But again, they're just, but you got to remember, they spent 12 years of their life doing this, and they had to go 4 years of that, and it take them, and they've, like, they literally are so narrowly focused on, this is why most doctors are not good business people. It's not that they're dumb. It's just they've like singularly. By the way, these are great doctors, what we want in our life if we're having brain surgery, heart surgery, etc. Because it's all they obsess and know about. However, if you're trying to have the big picture, like they really, it's tough, man. Until someone's mind really wants to unlock that next level, I don't think they can. Actually, I know they can because I see it every day. Yep. They don't believe it's possible.
Yep.
They don't know it's true.
That borrowed belief, right? The mindset and the 100% ownership, right? Like taking 100% extreme ownership over your life. Yep. Of, dude, nobody's going to do this for me. I have to figure it out. I have to do this. Yeah. Like, I can't just rely on others because they're not going to get done. It's not going to get done at the level I want it to be done at. And taking extreme ownership over your situation and learning to then be able to police it and hire people or whatever you want to do. But 100%, man. Like you got to have those things. What about what about like behaviors and actions? What are if somebody, because I'm a big believer that sometimes, dude, you got to take action in order to then have the belief. You got to take action in order to then learn the thing, right? It's not just reading about it in a book. You can learn about, or you can read about swimming in a book 100 times, but like until you get in the friggin' water, dude, you don't know what it's really like. There's got to be some education and mindset development along with real action pieces of doing the activity. What are some things that you think would really help stimulate somebody? Or the differences between poor people and rich people? I'll give you one example that comes immediately to my mind is poor people buy liabilities, rich people buy assets, right? Yeah. I don't know if it's more complex than that,
Yeah, no, 100%. But also, when the poor, like they're talking about things they can't wait to get out of work. Wealthy people are talking about creating jobs, creating work. Mm-hmm. And when I say, I'm talking to people we're hanging out with, I don't know what everyone's, but like, I don't know any person that's creating massive amounts of wealth and opportunity and rich people like that are not talking about scaling, growing, building. We're builders. I'm going to get a bigger building by tearing everyone's building down around me. That's how I grew up. They're losers, they're liars, they're thieves, they're steal, like all this stuff. Tear them down, tear them down, tear them down until, okay, now I'm the last one standing, so I must be the best. As opposed to like, dude, Tim, what you got going on is amazing, dude. How can I help you? How can I bring, just like your brother, how can I bring money? How can you do this? Thinking bigger. Dude, single family, screw single family. Let's go to this. Let's go to that. Like we're inspiring to scale and grow as opposed to like minimizing their dream, like downplaying them and saying, dude, you can't do that. You can't do it. You have to take massive action, dude. Like successful people are constantly taking action. The only thing it is, dude, rich people fail way more than poor people. Mm-hmm. We're constantly failing. I'm failing right now. We're failing everywhere all the time, but we're failing forward. In that world, if they take one hit, I can't do it. I knew it. That was a waste of time. That was stupid. I'm out. Or like Kiyosaki always said, teach people what you want to learn because you'll learn faster. Right? Like my nieces, they should be teaching their kids, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, how to do financial statements, how to budget, how to they do things and build. But, I think these are things that we need to constantly be leaning on and learning.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%, man. I think to your point about failing, this is probably one of the most important mindset pieces that I want to convey into my kids. And over the course of the past couple of weeks, we started integrating actually a lot from these conversations, dude. Yeah. What I love about these conversations is I get these ideas and these inspirations and these things that I need to be implementing this a little bit more often. I need to be focused on that a little bit more often. And although we're the ones having a conversation trying to give value, I get a ton of value just by having these conversations because it stimulates ideas and growth personally, right? And so that could be, are you having conversations with other entrepreneurs on a regular basis, right? If obviously we're talking via a podcast right now, but guess what, man? I also get together with entrepreneurs and maybe we get a group of us grabbing coffee or grabbing lunch or doing those kinds of things. But one of the big takeaways that I got a couple of weeks ago was I need to be asking my kids how they failed on a daily basis, right? Yes. Like we go through gratitude every single day. What are you thankful for? What's something awesome? What are you excited about for tomorrow? And we talk about those kinds of things. Yep. I don't talk enough, or I haven't talked enough in the past about how have you failed today and how have you overcome it? How'd you fall and get back up? Like tell me a story about not literally falling, but how'd you stumble on something, on a math problem or on a reading thing or, at recess on the playground, and an interaction with another kid or with a teacher where it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go and you learned something from it or you overcame it, and what did you learn from that process? Yes. And just getting the creative juices flowing. Like, last night my son said, "Hey, I left my jacket on the playground at recess," and I said, "Oh, well, yeah. Hey, you did fail at that, right? We lost a jacket." He goes, "But I asked my teacher if I could go over to the Lost and Found, and then I went to the Lost and Found, and I was able to find it. Next time, I just need to make sure I put it in some place where I'm going to remember it when I go back in, right?" Yeah. And so it's like, it's not about the thing. It's not about what actually happened. It's about the thought process of if you fail and you get back up, if you fail and you learn and you don't quit, you can overcome and you never lose. You never actually lose if you never quit. And if you're always learning, you're always improving, and you're not going to make those same mistakes, and you're going to be stronger and more powerful and a better influence across all things that you do.
Absolutely. Not only that, he's like, Dad, you're not going to believe how many cool things I got out of the lost and found, because I didn't realize I had 5 things I lost. And oh, by the way, they're not mine, but they are mine now, and I'm going to sell them to kids. I'm going to make $10 today. That was my hustle back in the day. Dude, after 30 days, it becomes it's whoever wants to take it out of there, they're going to throw it away. But no, in all seriousness, so again, who's ever sit down with you, Tim, and said, hey, man, where did you fail out today? Like, you think you're failing. What if you're actually succeeding? Well, no one ever taught us, like, failing is good, right? And, oh, by the way, you can learn by your failures. I learn more by my failures than I do my wins, right? Mm-hmm. But if I'm not talking to someone about it or communicating with it, and our kids specifically are watching mom and dad, we're the heroes, we're Superman, Superwoman, like, we have it all figured out, right? We all think every adult, when you're a kid, has it all figured out. And even though everyone around them is collapsing, drugging, and drinking, and doing all this other stuff, as opposed to, like, listen, Dad failed today. I had 13 calls I was supposed to do. I missed 2 of them. I was late 3 times, blah, blah, blah. I got to get better at time management. I really got to dial that in. Or, whatever. Or me and your mom got in an argument here, because they hear stuff, right? Like, these kids know what's going on. They just don't understand what the interpretation of it is. And not only that, we didn't fail as parents. We're learning, which is called failure sometimes, but we're learning as a collective, and we're going to get better tomorrow or tonight or whatever. So, dude, no one's ever sit down and talk to people about failure. I really think it's a big miss in anybody that's not doing this with their kids or people that care about
100%.
it. I mean,
and I integrated that too, is like, here's something that I failed at today. Hey, somebody sent me a message who's really on some tough times, and like a month and a half ago, and I totally forgot to respond to it. And I told the guy I'd jump on a phone call with him, and then I totally ghosted him, and I failed bad at fulfilling and following up on that. But I overcame it, right? I sent him a message this morning. I said, hey, man, I'm on a walk. Are you able to hop on a quick call? I jumped on a phone call with this guy, made an introduction for him, tried to give him some insights, tried to give him some ideas on things that he could do to turn his situation around. And he sent me a really, really nice message saying, hey, thank you so much. I know your time's valuable, and all these other things. So, like, I'm sharing that with the kids so that way they know it's okay to fail as long as you overcome, as long as you get back up and you keep on working on getting better.
Yeah, re-engage, right? Because it feels weird. It's like, shit, it's 30 days. He probably done forgot, but they didn't forget. But then you re-engage it. By the way, we talked about this last week, right? Tim responds to all the emails and all these posts because he's the jerk, right? I just bring this to the table every day. I got lots of failures every day. I'm like, kids, pick a page. Which page you want today? But I think, dude, when I think so many people, if you forget, go back and re-engage it. Say, listen, I'm a total dum-dum. I've totally dropped the ball. Blah, blah, as opposed to some bullshit. Dude, I'm so sorry. I missed it. It's not your fault. Just own it and be goofy about it and say, hey, I owe you a call. Are you around? Let's talk. They will appreciate you so much more, and it's a win-win for everybody. I think a lot of people just kick it down the road and don't even – and then they see him in person and it gets awkward. You know what I mean? And oh, by the way, it's not about the other person. It's about you as a person, because you know better. You know it. Just like when you piss on the seat and you don't clean it off. You know better. Clean it, flush the toilet, move on. As opposed to leaving it. I'll do it tomorrow. Like, these are little things that actually chip away at your confidence, chip away at who you really are. What we're talking about is standards, by the way. Mm-hmm. But, dude, I think it's amazing. I love hearing that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Now, I think it's one of those things where, again, it goes back to, are we blaming and are we creating excuses and blame? That's what poor mindset does. Oh. It points the finger at everything else. You got this baggage that you're trying to carry along. It's always everybody else's fault. You're a victim to everything. Versus successful people think like victors, right? Like winners. Like, I'm going to overcome this. This is something, even though I screwed up, I cannot fail if I keep on moving forward. I cannot fail if I keep on getting back up. I cannot lose. I will eventually win because I'm not willing to quit what I'm doing. Two massive differences, 2 different sides of the spectrum on poor mindset versus successful mindset.
Yeah, and really, like, again, this is not a judgmental thing if you're poor or rich. It is, this is a mindset thing. This is a human. You got to humanize the situation and take full responsibility. If you do that, again, I started off poor. So I know there's a structure and a journey to become the rich or the wealthy or whatever you want to call it individual. I 1,000% guarantee my conversations are drastically different up here than down here. And it's not judgment. By the way, I'm not saying they're bad people. It's just different, right? So I think you have to really dial it in and make sure who you're hanging out with, what you're talking about. Catch yourself. If you're talking about the same stuff, talking about negative stuff, if you're talking about the high school touchdown you made in 1996, get a life, right? That's one thing successful people do, Tim. I don't know. You see this as well. Is that we're talking about where we're going, not what we did, right? And the only time we talk about what we did is what we should have done different to make it better in the future. We're not harping and complaining and talking. We might for about 3 seconds and then we'll move on. But like, it's like, dude, it's a progress as opposed to get stuck in that negative cycle, dude. Like it's a game.
You know what's interesting about that is just had a little bit of an epiphany, but like, dude, I'm embarrassed of my past self. Dude, I'm not proud of my past. Now there's things I did in the past that I'm proud of and things like that, but like I'm so thankful that I'm not that person anymore and that I've grown and improved and empowered myself and like if somebody's looking back and their glory days and their highest and best persona of themselves is in the past, that's a problem, dude. That's a big problem. Versus knowing that today I'm way better than I was in the past and tomorrow I'm going to be way better than I am today, and continuing on that path forward, dude, is just very, very different of a mindset.
Yeah, I think. Listen, guys, if you're trying to figure out how to get to that next level or try to get out of these cycles, when you're sitting down talking to someone, here's a great way to identify if they're progressive and are moving forward into the future versus going backwards or talking about the past. Just ask them a simple question: what is your goal in the next 12 months? What does your life look like in 12 months from now? If they're like, I hope I make it till tomorrow, leave the room immediately. If they say, man, brother, if I get a 10-cent raise, I'd be happy. Okay, well, what if you don't get a 10-cent raise? Are you going to be happy? Are you still going to be at the job? Because, again, they complain about doing nothing. If you're not going, like, I have a sister right now dealing with this. She's like, they ain't paying me. I'm like, leave. You've been there 26 years. Leave. They still ain't paying you. By the way, it's the same story for the last 26 years. And she's like, well, there's no other jobs. You're telling me there's no other jobs in this world? Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, there's no other jobs you might be willing to take or no other jobs you might be willing to get out of your comfort zone to go. My sister's she's awesome, but like she's very structured through her days. And I'm like, it's not meant to be easy. But you're either going to talk about it and do something about it or shut up about it. I don't want to hear about the same thing and not take action. By the way, if you say, I love my job, it's amazing, I don't care if they ever paid me, I'm going to keep doing it, cool, I'm down with that. But you can't tell me you're mad about your job, you're complaining about your work, you're all these people, and yet you're not willing to do anything about it because you're not trying to be productive. You're just complaining, So get in the right rooms, man. Have great conversations, progressive, future-driven conversations.
100%, man. What are we looking forward to? And I think we mentioned this. I read a study and have kind of obsessed over this over the past year or so of there's two things that really train your kids to be great adults. And one of them is goal setting, right? You got to be setting goals with your kids on an annual basis and coming back to those goals on a monthly basis and reviewing those things. And then number two builds a lot of confidence, which is chores, right? Not chores that they get paid for, chores that they contribute to the home because they're part of a family, because they're part of the community, because that's part of being in this ecosystem. Yep. And so kids that are given chores and set goals have this extreme advantage when they get out into the real world. Because they understand work ethic and they understand confidence comes from doing these things over and over and over again and seeing, finished products, and then also having a vision to cast, being able to go and look forward to this is something that I want to achieve in the next 12 months instead of always looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I think, dude, as well as I was literally thinking about this today. Shifting your focus. When I was working out, I was like, shift your focus to the positive outcome, right? I remember when I was probably 19-ish. I was doing this job. I was doing construction on a house I was redoing. And it was like Saturday, 3 p.m. Ohio State back in the day was big football. It still is big football. But for me, it was like that's kind of the world I lived in. And I was sitting there working, and I'm like, on one side I'm like sad, the other side I'm like, dude, I'm working I'm working to be better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get wealthy. I'm going to change my life. Today's the day. And it's like the hard stuff with the right focus. You're going to do hard stuff anyways. Might as well focus on the positive outcome that can come from it, as opposed to like what you're missing out on, FOMO, right? I'm missing out. My friends are drinking. They're doing this. They're doing that. It's all the stuff you don't want to do. I promise you, if you stay away from that side, you'll be better off tomorrow no matter what. Get on the positive side. Work harder. Show up bigger. And that's the same thing I was telling my sister. I'm like, if you're such a great person in the company, they should be coming to you to give you a raise because you're stepping up. You're going above and beyond. You're doing like in real companies, that's how it really works. It's not what people want to hear because they think they're working their butt off. They think they're working hard, but they're silently doing nothing extra. They're just showing up. It's like, but I show up every day from 8 to 5. Yeah, because that's what you're supposed to do. What'd you do above and beyond? So again, like how's your tribe talking? If your tribe's talking about that little stuff, get out of it. Or create your own. Like you said, talking about the entrepreneur group. If you don't know any entrepreneurs, go to meetup.com, create an entrepreneur group, have 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 people show up. You coordinated it, you put it together, and now you built your own table. It's an amazing thing,
And yeah, if you can't find it, dude, like there's countless books, there's countless podcasts. Like that needs to become your community, right? That's where you should be spending all your time and listening to other conversations. So that way you can level up to then get invited into the room, get invited into a circle of entrepreneurs that you highly respect and are doing really cool things that you want to be hanging out with, and you can bring value into those conversations.
Yep.
Like go and I did this. I did this 20 years ago when I was going through the entrepreneurial journey, man. I read more books in 2 years after college than I read in the entire, I don't know, what is that, 17 years that I went to school, right? Like I read more books in the next 2 years and listened to more audiobooks and listened to more podcasts and things that over those next 2 years, and got a master's degree, if you will, in personal mindset and personal behavior because of all the things I listened to, and became more valuable of a person than I did in 17 years of formal education. All through, and it wasn't from hanging out with my buddies who were all dipshits getting hammered at a bar every single night at 22, 23, 24 years old. It was me staying up late, watching things that improved me. It was me driving in a car, not listening to rap music and those kinds of songs, but instead listening to audiobooks and improving myself. Because I needed to improve in order to be able to provide value to higher level folks. And so, to Mark's point, I think, I went and created Cleveland entrepreneurs and business owners meetup, and I just brought in experts to go and talk on things, and did a book club and found some awesome entrepreneurs, some of which still invest with me today and I have relationships with today. So it's definitely out there. If I could go back and made one difference that changes the trajectory of are you going to be rich or are you going to be poor, it's who you hanging out with.
100%.
If you are hanging out with people who are having these conversations, who are taking these actions, who have the mindset, who are following the behaviors, right? Who are goal setting and planning and talking about future and talking about money. And like, all you got to do is get yourself in those rooms. By osmosis, it's going to spread into you. By osmosis, you're going to get so many ideas and concepts and thoughts and focus, right, on the things that actually matter that you want to focus on. Absolutely. And it's going to eliminate all the nonsense, all the talk about people, all the talk about negativity, all the fear-based, victim-based type mindset. And you're just all you got to do is change your environment. Just change who you're hanging out with. That'll then change your behaviors, your mindset, your choices, and your results will effectively change from it too.
Yeah, point yourself to step up to the next level. The truth is we are talking about people. We're talking about people winning. We're talking about people we can hire. We're talking about people we can collaborate with. The rich is talking about that stuff. We're not talking about who they're sleeping with and who they're cheating on and why they're so ugly and all, why they, whatever the town sleeping circle, whatever's going on, that's been going on since 1995 or, so get in the game. Like Tim said, change it. Tim, in 1996, I started a thing called Millionaires in the Making. right? Because I wanted to make millions. I didn't even know what it meant. I just want to be a millionaire. Millionaires in the making. That was the thing. I created, back in the day, remember the business cards that you get like 250 for like 99 cents or whatever? So I had those made up, and I was handing those out, just trying to get people to talk to me and connect. Who doesn't want to be a millionaire? Well, lots of people want to be it, but very few people will do it, the work to get there. So it just kind of created like 3, 4, 5 people. Ted, I remember this guy, Ted, Mike, we're sitting in a little coffee shop at Starbucks in Columbus, Ohio, like talking about like, dude, we're going to get rich. We're going to do this. But keep in mind, getting rich back then was way different than getting rich now. So it's like, if I could just do this, I was thinking 1-to-1, buy one house, fix it up, make 10 grand, make 12 grand, make, whatever. And keep in mind, the title company guy was Ted, and then Mike was the mortgage guy. We're all working together, and we're collaborating, and we're all going to get rich together. It's going to be awesome. So it's like, that was what was feel every day. Boom, 5 a.m. I was there working, having these conversations, right? So we were feeding off each other's energy, not feeding off each other's negativity,
Mm-hmm.
So, no, man, this is cool, dude. I think this is why rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And that's not negative. That's the facts. It is what it is. And get in the right rooms, man, lives will change.
100%, man. Yeah, if there's one thing that points you in the right direction and keeps you in that right direction, it's getting in the right rooms, creating those rooms yourself, standing guard at the door to your mind of what information are you letting in and what information are you keeping out. Identifying that, questioning everything, right? Because it's, Jim Rohn has said, how do you build a good life? Well, dude, there's ingredients that go into building a good life. It's like baking a cake, right? It's like all these different things go into building a good life and achieving and succeeding and building wealth of the ingredients that go into it. But you also got to keep the bad ingredients out, right? You can't put cement mixing powder into a cake, right? It's going to turn out really, really bad. Exactly. And so keeping the bad stuff out, focusing on the good stuff, and by clearing out a lot of the bad stuff, again, just by clearing that out, you're going to have good stuff that comes in. If you drop the bottom 10, 20, 30% of all the negativity and all the bad stuff in your life, or if a poor person did that, dude, by osmosis, you're going to get stuff that comes in that's a 10 out of 10, a 6 out of 10, a 5 out of 10, but all of it's better than a 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. Exactly. And so just eliminate the bad, focus on the positive, get yourself in those environments, and watch it amplify. And this is done at different levels too, right? It's done at an entry level. It's done at, I'm still working a job, or I'm in school still, and I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with my career. Like, it could be done at that level. It could be done at the entry-level entrepreneur doing less than $1 million in business. It could be done at doing tens of millions of dollars in business. And then another level, once you're getting into the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, there's different circles as you're continuously growing into. So hopefully this creates a little bit of clarity for you guys on why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And would love your guys' insights too, right? I think there's a lot of tactical, technical type stuff too of buying assets versus liabilities, and here's the action steps. But I think it all comes down to mindset, and Mark and I are big on that stuff. So I think the conversations always come around to that. But would love your guys' insights. Share some feedback. Share some comments on things that you've seen and you've realized in your life, on why you've gotten rich and what's kept others very poor. So, and as always, appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being here. Please share this episode with somebody who would make a big impact in their life. If you could, we don't have anything to sell. All we ask for is give us a 5-star review on Apple, on whatever station you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, and give us a like, give us some comments, and that's all we can ask for. And if there's ever a topic that you'd like to hear, don't hesitate to reach out. Tell us what you want to hear. Yep. These are topics that Mark and I have conversations together about, and with other entrepreneurs about, who have all made money, and they're trying to figure out, what's next, or here's a bottleneck that I'm facing. And if you're facing any of those things, by all means, reach out to us, let us know, and we'll have a conversation and a topic and an episode on that. So appreciate you guys being here. Mark, any closing thoughts?
No, man, just so you guys know, you're not alone. So reach out, ask for help. Whatever your situation you're going through, I don't care how good or bad or in between it is, you're not the first person to go through it. But don't silently suffer in the game of life. You have people here, me and Tim, are willing to hear you and guide you through the show. Share it, connect with us, and ask questions. We're here to help. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you.